again, you got to acclimate these people. And in a sport like hockey, it really is incumbent upon the leadership of a group of the leadership group of a team to form those bonds, to have those team dinners, to have those outings in a chalet before the season starts, to make the guy from Finland who speaks like 9 words of English to feel a part of the team. And I think that's exactly right. Is some guys come over and having played in their native country and have to different size rink, slightly different rules, different language, different culture, sometimes different weather, and different elements to deal with outside of the sport of hockey. So it really is about that leadership. People talk about Mark Messier as being one of the greatest leaders in the history of sports, and he played for the Oilers, he played for the Canucks, but he's most known for playing for the Rangers and bringing them a cup in 1994. Played obviously with Gretzky in the 80s with the Oilers too, but the aura and the legend of players grows as I think the teammates help to build it, right? Somebody scores 100 points, he's not necessarily going to be talked about 20, 30 years later in hockey by fans as much as a guy who his teammates talked about him in interviews and in DVDs and other specials. Like, that guy was the reason that we got over. Mark Messier is famous for making a prediction. I think it's 1994 Eastern Conference Finals against the Devils, and he says we're going to win this game and win it in Game 7 or something to that effect. And he guaranteed a victory, and it was all over the New York Post and the New York Times. And sure enough, they did it, and they went on and they won the cup for the first time in 50 years for the Rangers. There's an innate quality inside some of these gifted athletes. All these guys are gifted to a certain point to get to that level, but there's an innate quality that some guys have just to be able to bring everyone else up a level, or to inspire them to do a little more. It's not just about the coach and a fiery speech. It's about following the leadership of some of these guys. You look at some teams that in all sports that didn't get over the hump, and people say, well, it's because the other team was better. Sometimes it's just because their leadership group, their 2, 3, 4 veterans that are their best players, weren't leading the way, or they weren't able to bring up the next guy. So there's a ton of psychology and leadership qualities to sports.
Yeah, that's very well said. Very well said. We see that also in Last Dance, where you brought up with Isaiah Thomas and how they were getting physically beaten, the Bulls. They were losing because they're getting physically pushed around, and then they show in the documentary how Jordan says, "Okay, this is what we're going to do." He put on 20 pounds of muscle basically. And then he got his teammates to say, okay, we're gonna practice in the off season, and he got them all to agree to that, right? That's, as you said, that's leadership, that quality. That so any of them could have said no, right? They could have said, no, man, I'm just gonna play golf like he loves to do, but they didn't, right? They went together, and they as one unit. Playing as one unit is so strong. We see that in so many sports. On that note, Matthew, is there any last words of wisdom you want to share with the listener right now, having interviewed so many people, knowing sports so well, knowing different sports? So what makes somebody successful and famous? You talked about this team and being supporting your teammate, and having that on-field, off-field, or on the ice and off the ice relationship, and how important that is. And just and we saw the Jordan documentary, like what it is, the heart of a winner, the competitive soul. But seeing all these guys, can you choose now? Could you, I guess there's 2 questions. One is just your general feedback on that. And 2, could you look at a rookie and interview him and go, he's a winner, he's gonna be something?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you can look at young players and for sure, it's the way you carry yourself. And everybody's got talent if they're at this level. It's a question of how much work they put in and how they carry themselves and how confident they are. And sometimes it's just you plateau at a certain level of ability, and you can do it in one level and you just can't do it to another. There's in baseball, there's a term for that. They call them 4A players, right? So it's like, in baseball, there's AA, single A, there's AAA, and then you get to the majors, right? And so there's guys that are amazing in AAA and they just can't do it in the major leagues. but they're too good for AAA. So they kind of, they call those guys like like in betweeners or like 4A players. So